Did you get the picture?
I did get the picture.
Okay.
I
thought
did
you were
get
going to say you went through all that and the picture didn't turn out.
No, I did get the picture, and it's a pretty darn good one. He's looking up over the crowd, and the gel lights in the background over his head, but the spotlight keying on his face, and it was a pretty good shot. Got a pretty good shot of the. What was it? The first? I think it was the first shuttle launch. Dad had a friend that was a colonel in the Air Force. Got us down to the VIP section for Cape Canaveral. If it was not the very first shuttle launch, it was one of the first 2 or 3. I think it may have been the first one. I can't remember for certain. And that was pretty cool.
We're going to roll some music and talk about bikes?
Oh, yeah. Damn. We should do that, shouldn't we?
Remember we made a vow to talk about bicycles?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Shiftless, a podcast about nothing but bicycles.
Truly, like 95% at least, all bicycles. Oh,
Joined by my good friend Chef Brad Green.
what is going on? Speaking of bicycles, I went to take my axle. I think I told you this. I went to take my axle out of my Fargo because I was having shifting airs, and I was like making sure that my cassette was tight, my axle was tight, but I was going to take my axle out, check my cassette, put my axle back in, and then start systematically going through my shifting. And I went to take my axle out, and it just kunk and broke right at the threads and
On a through axle.
And to the merit of Robert Axle Project, I sent them an email, sent them a picture. They immediately, like I think same day, put one in the mail. And we're like, so sorry we've never had that issue. We want to see it. Send it to us. We're sending you a new one out right now. So it came in the mail yesterday. And in the meantime, I got a new internal cable, or derailleur cable. And I had bent the barrel on my... So since I converted to a 12-speed and I'm running a Brifter, you change out the cams or whatever the ratchet is on the internals of the lever itself, and it eliminates your barrel adjuster that you would have. And because you're running, I guess it's a mountain bike shifter at that point, you have to put a barrel adjuster on the derailleur. So anyways, the threaded part had bent. So I got a new one of those, and I did all that this morning, and my shifting is back to super bueno. So
Primo shifting.
Super excited about that. Ready to get the Fargo out and cut it up a little bit more.
Very good. So, I am a fan of Robert Axle Project myself. When you had mentioned that last week, I was like, I was just assuming it was, and nothing against salsa.
Yeah.
I was just assuming it was the factory through axle that failed. And then when you said it was a Robert Axle Project, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
But their response is completely what I would have expected from them.
Exactly. I was more than happy with that.
And no, we are not sponsored by Robert Axle Project, but we're more than willing to be. We're happy to endorse the stuff we like. Or at least I am. I assume you are too.
Yeah, I was already a fan, and I will be definitely buying more Robert Axle projects, especially knowing how well they stand behind their stuff. And I did not realize how much shit they make. That's what's crazy, is because I went on their site thinking, they might have like 10 axles, and it's insane how many products they offer.
Hello, Luna doll.
Luna Bell always comes to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
She's like, y'all are early today. It's getting hot, Luna. I'm already working up a sweat.
It's not that it's so hot; it's that it's humid, and there's zero breeze.
Humid and still,
Yeah.
which is unusual for us. But hey, we'll make it work. I'm thinking this is the last superheated one.
You watch your damn mouth.
Hey, you were the one. Can you believe this spring? Can you believe? Yeah, I said, you watch your mouth. It's going to get hot.
It was worth mentioning every time I mentioned it. I mean,
into what, late June?
Yeah, I mean, but
But since then, it's been.
It's been an absolute convection oven. But I mean, it merits mentioning when we have that amazing of a spring.
Oh, it was very abnormal.
Because so many times we just take it for granted and move on, and then 2 weeks later we're like, God, can you believe how awesome it was 2 weeks ago? I think it's important to stop real time and go, this is freaking awesome.
No, Brad, you're freaking awesome.
Whatever.
Yeah, so we were supposed to do our first gravel crits at Fort Worth tomorrow night, but they were talking 107-degree heat. It's like, now we're going to push it to next week, guys.
Yeah, it's not worth anybody perishing.
And it's just going to be so miserable out there, and on the levees there's no shade whatsoever. At least when you're riding North Shore, when it's that hot, you're in shade the vast majority of it, which helps.
Yeah, but the west side gets like almost no breeze.
And that's the downside.
You're
not picking up any breeze, but just being out of the direct sun makes a huge
Next
difference.
Tuesday, high of 82.
Holy hell.
82.
I didn't realize it was getting that cool.
Yeah. So, but also half an inch of rain predicted, which
we need it.
That'll probably get waned down to like a tenth of an inch,
Well,
and
but
it'll be 94.
But even if we do get the rain, it's just going to just instantly get soaked up by everything. It won't even stick around at all.
Yeah, but we need rain. The lakes need the rain. The rivers need the rain.
My foundation needs the rain.
Yeah. So, what are the ride plans this weekend then?
Ride plans this weekend, we are launching our Spinistry FKT Denton 200 miler. So basically it's a route we're putting, and actually when I get done here, I'm going to go out and make sure the route is solid. Since I'm driving it, I need to ask you. That Henrietta Creek crossing off Bonnie Bray going over the little back trail crossing.
Corbin?
Yeah, Corbin. Is that still traversable, I assume?
It's better than it's been in years.
I assumed it was. I was just double checking before I send.
Well, have you been down there recently?
Not recently, no.
They did.
I saw they were doing some work down there.
A lot of work down there, putting in drainage pipe and stuff. I don't know what the master plan is for that. And they even reconcreted some of the stuff that's down under the bridge, like widened that road, if you will. I thought they were going to reopen that because they were doing so much down there.
Is the gap still there?
Yeah. Okay. The gap's still there. As long as there hasn't been water sitting on there, it's not slick at all. And there hasn't been water on there in months. It's better than it was because they went back and filled in some of that gap. It's not a foot deep like it was.
Cool. So basically we put together a 200 miler starting from the Denton train station. That's some of the stuff, the old classic stuff, Old Stony Road and all that you and I went down that one day. We're incorporating some of the Spinistry greatest hits of the years into this 200-mile loop and letting people run it on their own convenience to record some FKTs if so desired. Saturday, we're sending off a group to do it together, sort of thing, if they want to have a group to part.
Just to kind of proof it?
Yeah.
Yeah. My buddy Caleb likes to call it FTK. Fastest time known.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Well.
He makes a lot of typographical errors, and we just give him
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I checked. I looked at the route this morning. Actually, I have three. I have a 300 miler, a 200 miler, and a 100 miler. The 200 and the 100.
Lucy.
Barking at your neighbors.
Speaking of, my vacuum cleaner miraculously showed back up. I can't make this shit up. You can't write this shit.
I don't think we recorded that conversation, or did we?
I don't know. I'm still.
No, because we were riding around.
Yeah. My son goes, I don't think that your reaction is commensurate with the amount of frustration you exhibited. And I go, I'm still in shock. And I'm trying to process it because I'm in disbelief.
So where did it turn up?
So allegedly,
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's just reframe this very quickly, since all we do is talk about bikes, and when we go
Yeah.
off the bike subject, we have to explain things.
So for Tracy, at home
In Wisconsin.
in Wisconsin, we were getting ready for Ray Porter. I was loading up my vehicle to go to Ray Porter. I had 60 pounds of pre-cooked bacon that I cooked here at the house, and I noticed that my vacuum cleaner was not on its cradle.
Your Roomba
My Roomba-ish,
robot
vacuum.
vac.
And so I was like, well, it's probably, because it just runs until it gets low and then it makes its way back to its cradle. So I'm like, well, it's probably hung up somewhere or it just ran out of battery. So I start looking for it and I don't see it. So I start looking for it more and I start getting even more puzzled. And this went on for literally weeks. I could not find it. I looked behind closed doors. I looked under stuff that it can't even fit under. I looked under kids' beds that are always behind closed doors. I interrogated the shit out of my wife. She was indeed the last one to see it, and I concluded that she was probably a little scatterbrained, doing too many things around the house, as she does, because she is a super baddie, and just threw it away instead of emptying it. Like, probably had a phone call coming in, whatever. And that was the working theory that I was going with, just to put it all to bed in my head.
And just to tie it together, we won't go too deep into it, but Brad's telling me this story.
There's some burbs activity going on next door. It's probably some super vanilla stuff, but it seems really weird.
Brad's telling me this story while we're driving around scouting some stuff. And later on, he's telling me another story about some neighbors that had moved in.
Yeah, we have some neighbors that moved in next door.
And it's not the normal situation, but nothing nefarious, we don't think, but just outside the norm. We'll leave it at that.
Well, they only show up. They're only there during the day. They show up at like 9:30, 10 o'clock every day, and they leave at like, I don't know,
6:30 is what
if at the latest.
Yeah.
And here's what's weird. They weren't here Saturday and Sunday. They showed up on Monday, which was Labor Day.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe they're not running a business.
Breeze.
But they weren't there all day yesterday.
Okay.
So strange. But my vacuum cleaner showed up over the weekend. My kid wakes me up, Kieran. I was taking a nap, as I aspire to do on the weekends. And he says, hey, Dad, I found the vacuum. I was like, what? Yeah, it was underneath a bunch of my clothes under my bed. And I'm like, bullshit, I looked under your bed. Looked under your bed at least 3 times with a flashlight. He goes, but it was under a bunch of clothes. I was like, okay. Very weird.
And
very strange.
And when Brad was telling me about the new neighbors, I said, when did they move in? About 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. When did you lose your Roomba?
About a week and a half ago.
Yeah. And unless I'm misremembering,
much to your prediction, it was going to show up in a place that I swore I had looked. And I believe you hit that straight on the head.
And it was going to show up in a way that is like, that doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't. In fact, through all eyewitness accounts, said vacuum was seen trying to go over the threshold into Kieran's room, which I put in their floors, and I made the thresholds in there a little steep, especially for a vacuum cleaner with such a short wheelbase. It's not a 29er.
It's not a 29er, is it?
And so Kieran was admittedly kind of shooed it out of his room, and at that point, Paula picked it up to empty the vacuum cleaner, and that was the last reported sighting of the vacuum. So, and Kieran's door stays shut, so I don't understand how any of that transpired, but that's the story as I know it.
Okay.
So I knew you'd get a kick out of it.
I loved it.
I knew you wanted some closure.
Thank you so much. that makes this episode for me, quite frankly.
I need to get an air tag and put it on there so I don't have to go through that any longer.
It's so funny. I went through a run last year. I wasn't losing my keys. I was just like misplacing them like 3 times a week sort of thing. And it would be my keys or it would be my wallet or I have one of those slim wallets and it like likes to fall out of stuff and things like that. And I just got in a run of it and I just broke down and I bought the tile variety pack. So I've got one on my keychain, one in my wallet, and a sticker one that haven't found a home for it yet. And of course, ever since I've got that, I've never misplaced anything. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
But
you have to have your phone in order to track that, right?
Well, I have it on multiple phones because I do have multiple phones. I have an AT&T and a Verizon since I travel so much.
For all your side bitches?
Yeah. Burners.
Burners.
Can you even do a burner phone anymore?
I mean, I think they can track everything they want.
Yeah.
There are disposable phones, though, that are just with prepaid minutes, but I would imagine that... I think that, the premise in the movies is you pay cash for it, so it's not
traceable
to you.
Right.
It's not traceable, but
I don't think you can do that anymore.
I don't know.
Because you can't fire up an Android phone without setting up a Google account of some sort, and you can't set up a Google account of some sort without having an existing email. Wait.
Yeah. What does that have to do with bicycles?
It has nothing to do with bicycles. So we're going to shift back towards bikes. You touched on the Robert Axle Project, and I think we both agree we're fans of those products. I'm generically a fan of Wolftooth stuff as well.
They make kick-ass stuff. I have the new in my my new single speed I built up. I opted, instead of carrying a gear bag or like a saddle bag with a bunch of tools in it or like a jerry can, I bought their bar insert tools.
Okay.
Freaking cool. Not from a racing aspect because it's not the quickest to deploy or to utilize, but it's really cool because on one grip, it just slides in. It looks like a regular bar end except for it's aluminum. It has all your multi-tools, including a chain brake, core remover, all your standard Allen wrenches. There's a couple of things I'm missing, I'm sure. And then on the other side, it's got the other part. You have to use both in order to do a chain brake. But it's got a tire plug, a place to store bacon strips. No, not CO2.
I thought it held the CO2 as well.
There's a CO2 thing that you can do in your steer tube now that I saw.
Gotcha. Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
But it's pretty cool having that there instead of having a saddlebag. I wanted to get less stuff on my bike because I historically run like multiple bags on my bike. Sure. Because I don't like to carry stuff I don't wear a jersey, so I don't put anything in my jersey.
Mr. Fishing Shirt.
Yeah, well, it's a lot more comfortable, and I feel a lot more, I don't know,
cool,
retail friendly when I walk into somewhere,
hipster.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. So now I have a little saddlebag that just has a vacuum seal tube in it, and about 3 CO2s that are wrapped in a bandana just to keep them from clattering and as a hand wipe if I need it.
As a heads up, for whatever it's worth, bear with. We're getting there.
I know, but I want to look.
We're good grief. I did the vacuum seal bag one time. Tube sealed, and it wore a hole into the tube. Do you have talc in there?
What did I put? I think I put flour in there.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Well, the reason I was bringing up Wolftooth, I saw this morning, maybe you're aware of it, they came out with their version of an anything cage. It looks really cool.
Is it composite or metal?
It is aluminum. Yeah. Machined aluminum.
Machined?
Yeah, it's like a block of aluminum that's been honed
Wow.
out.
Huh. Now I'll have to look at it.
It looks really cool.
Wolftooth makes some really cool stuff.
Uh,
I really like. I also carry their plier. I don't know what they call them.
Yeah, that multi-tool thing.
Yeah.
And they came out with a Gen 2.
That does a. It's got a reamer for your valve.
Yeah.
Which is pretty smart. Although I haven't ever found a need for one of those. Every time I've been messing with my valves to that extent, it's been in my garage, and I just use a sharpened spoke. But now I have the new bad boy valves that don't ever clog.
Which ones are these?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I'll have to show them to you. They're on my
I need
Karate
these.
Monkey. They're badass.
I need these.
But they're not traditional like the valve that you normally see. It's a Presta, still a Presta, but it doesn't have a valve that you unscrew. But you have to have the valve cap. That's the caveat here. You have to maintain the valve cap.
So the valve cap's the removal tool of how?
No, I'll have to show them.
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
I wish I knew the name of them offhand. They're spendy, but the other thing is the way they work is instead of having an inline O-ring that is in the interior of the valve itself, in that tube, if you will, this actually has a plunger style that, think about it as like
it's basically
cone.
self-cleaning.
Yeah. And so when you put air in, it just flushes in and it goes from all directions instead of it's pretty cool design.
When you say spendy, what kind of spendy are we talking
like
about?
$45-$50 for the pair.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that is spendy.
Yeah, but if they don't ever cause you any issues,
I hear you. I guarantee you.
Mm-hmm.
They market tested the pricing on that one because that's right at that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just over that edge of. If it was $30, yeah, I'm on that.
Because I've been, I've went through a bunch of different valve cores, and the previous iteration I was running Muck Off, which I'm kind of a fan of as well, but I did still end up with either clogs or partial clogs, and I think Texas is probably a pretty good test market for sealant and clogs and stuff because we have such high heat and such humidity and everything.
We've got every treacherous plant under the sun.
That's pretty true too.
Goat heads, not Joshua trees,
honey locusts, mesquite, briar,
anyway,
walking sticks.
Yeah. We got it all. Cacti.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're kick-ass valves. I wish I could remember the name of them.
Yeah,
right now.
we'll talk about them some more.
I'll look about.
Okay, there you go.
Quick.
So the Wolftooth, and talking about a little spendy. Wolftooth is never underpriced, but I don't think their prices are ridiculous. I think if you're wanting to go generally next level, and no, we're not sponsored by Wolftooth either, but I would love to be. So usually you get your bang for your buck out of them. So as an example, like whatever they're calling this cage, I think it's like $52 or $53 with 2 straps for a cage.
Yeah.
Whereas your Salsa Anything cage is like $35 with 2 straps. So,
Love my Anything cage, by the way. I have 2 of them. I'll tell you the big trick with both of those. I don't know what the straps are that come with the Wolftooth.
They're the Walla straps.
Oh, voila. Yeah. Okay. Those are badass. But the Salsa Anything cage comes with a, I don't even know what you call it, where you have a buckle and you weave the strap through and then you try to cinch it. Never stays cinched. It's hard to get cinched. I went to REI and bought the hook and loop, Velcro straps that have a D loop on one end, and you go through and they come back. Amazing. You just done.
Yeah, it self-tightens.
Yeah, no fucking
and
around.
It stays locked in.
Yeah, rock solid.
So kind of along those lines, and it's why I brought this one.
Mm-hmm.
Were you Were you familiar with this before I handed it to you?
I am. In fact, I was Dan, the guy I mentioned earlier that I brought stickers to last night. He runs one of those, and I've been interested. I see him with it all the time.
Yeah.
And I actually looked at his bike last night. We talked about he was missing his cage on his down tube and only had said bottle holder on his seat tube.
So what we're looking at right now, ladies and gentlemen, is and no, we're not sponsored by Fidlock. Hey, Fidlock, if you need.
Is that a one-off brand? Do they make other stuff?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. There's this new, for side mount water bottles, Fidlock water bottles, mounting system. It's a magnetic system.
Do they make a bigger bottle?
I think this is the biggest. They make smaller bottles. So that's a 20-ounce bottle.
Yeah.
It would be a 22-ounce, but it's got the indentation in the side for the holder sort of thing.
I mean, how do magnets even work?
It's magic.
Yeah.
I had seen those a couple weeks ago, and I was intrigued because I'm having troubles with a side mount setup on one of my bikes that I need to dial in better with the bag I'm wanting to use. So this looks like it's a little lower profile, might do the trick. I'm sure it's ambidextrous. I'm sure you can turn the mount on the bottle around and use it the other way or something like that.
I don't see how you could. That's what I was thinking, but
that's not a release in the middle there. I assume that was some sort of cam release.
How would you reverse it? That doesn't even make sense. It's only this way.
You turn it upside down.
It's the same freaking thing.
Yeah,
that's what I was just trying to puzzle through with my barely awake brain.
Well, I haven't read the directions yet. I'm assuming there's a way to make it go both ways, but maybe not. And that would be a downside if it doesn't. I had seen somebody mention it, and I had looked into it. And it's like, I might try one of those for shits and giggles.
Yeah, they're not the first people to do this. I've seen another version of this, and maybe it was their version as well. But I love the idea of it.
I like the idea. I haven't tried it out yet.
Weight weenies are not going to like it. Water hounds like me, only a 20-ounce bottle's kind of a drawback to me.
How big a bottle do you normally take?
Whatever Camelback bottles are.
I think they're 22.
24. 22? 24?
I think they're 22, but I could be wrong.
I'm a water. Water is my comfort.
No, I get it. I generally lean the same way, but also what I've run into is sometimes that extra half inch or whatever it is.
Everybody could use an extra half inch.
Yeah, sometimes it's too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it just doesn't fit.
I like this. It seems very secure.
So we're going to play with it. I was just going to order one from their site. Actually, I was going to reach out to them and see if they wanted to send one out as a test one. And then I saw that my buddies at Mad Duck were actually a dealer for them. So when I was in Mad Duck the other day.
I like it. In premise, it seems really good. That looks very much like a specialized nipple on it.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, the current line of specialized bottles are actually pretty good.
Yeah,
second only to Camelback.
Yeah, I love the what do they call that on the Camelback bottle?
No,
I love the flow on that thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But here's the other question: that's kind of difficult to squeeze.
Well, again, this is why we scout.
I mean, but I'm old. My wrists are screwed. That's maybe not that bad.
It's squeezable.
Yeah. It's not Charmin, but... I mean, how much instructions do you need for a water bottle cage?
So, this is one. So, we're kind of back. So, $45 for a bottle and a mount. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're getting a decent bottle cage, you're spending probably $20.
Oh, they make a $5.90.
What's a $5.90? This is $600.
Oh, $600. Wow. Okay. Huh.
Snap Connect, please observe.
Oh yeah, bottle 600 plus bike pace. Huh.
Oh well.
Either way,
we'll play with it.
I like it. At least in premise, it's pretty badass. I know, like I said, Dan's had one for a while. I have not got any feedback from him, but he seems to like it. but it's very secure. I mean, the only thing I can think is, how do I grab my... This is intended for a right-handed person.
The way it's configured now is a right-hand pull-out.
Yeah. At least on your down tube. If it's sitting on your down tube, this is the way it exits.
Right.
But
so
if it's on your seat tube,
it goes to the left.
It would be the other way. But
it's got to be reversible somehow or another.
I don't think so. Either way, the people that are just listening, which is only the people that are listening, have no clue what we're talking about. But this base does release, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, why?
Yeah, well, we'll mess with it. Yeah, this wasn't meant to be a review of the product yet.
Yeah.
Just to see if you were aware of it. We'll give it a try, and I'm hoping to give that Wolftooth anything-ish cage, whatever they call it. I think they call it Morse or something like that.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
So what does it do when you pull that off?
It just takes this piece off for whatever reason.
Can you? Does it allow you to? No, it's not going to let you rotate anything or anything, is it?
Well, it has a lock and an unlock, or maybe no.
Don't break it. Don't break it.
Why? How much did you pay for it?
Not full price, but I paid.
Yeah. I don't know why it would allow you to do all that
and not be reversible.
And not be, but it maybe you can buy a left-handed mount.
I don't know.
Okay,
we'll dig into it.
Enough with that.
Well, let's do a little housekeeping real quick.
Fillmore reserve valves are the ones I was
Fillmore reserve valves.
Yeah, here's a picture of them since we're doing everything visual today.
Those look sexy.
They're sexy, and they work exceptionally well. Okay, housekeeping.
Well, we're still waiting for Mississippi, the Dakotas, and Alaska to come on board.
Sons of bitches. Alaska. I can't believe Alaska.
We did get some listener mail.
Oh, really? Like
several, actually.
Talk to me.
I sent you one.
Oh, you did? I don't think I did.
Okay.
Did I respond?
No, you did not.
I don't know that I saw it. Refresh my memory.
I sent it yesterday.
Oh, sorry.
So your Yahoo account?
I don't think I saw it. Anyways, carry on.
Okay. And I never heard anything back from the art I sent you. Did you see that?
I did.
Okay, that's fine. Just making sure I have the right email address. Okay, let's see. First one is our friend from Canada. Jeff. Hello again. Hope your summer has been full of fun and excitement. I've been working a lot, and the weather was the absolute worst for riding a bike. I bet ours has been worse.
I was going to ask, I would love to know what absolute worst weather in Canada is.
It was raining a lot.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. But, he rode his rock hopper to work and stayed off the main mountain bike trails.
Yeah.
I guess maybe as much as people in North Texas complain about our trails being closed when it's wet, they seem to be under the impression we're the only ones that have that issue.
Oh, no.
I know.
Oh, no.
Yes, there are trails that stay open when they're wet.
Yeah.
There are trails that don't get muddy.
Yeah.
It's that simple. If it's a rocky trail and doesn't get muddy, it's okay.
But there's different soil composition.
And there is that too. And you get over to Tyler and all that stuff
Yeah.
over there, and then you get into the loams.
Yeah.
So sandy and rocky, hey, they can handle the wet better than clay.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Like North Shore deals with rain exceptionally well, but there are definitely portions of North Shore that do not. But then it's very sandy, sandstone, and but like the Womble, you can literally ride the Womble while it's raining, pretty much.
Yeah,
So-
I have.
Yeah, yeah. So it does exceptionally well with rain. So
Yeah, it still tore up the bike though.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sinking in the mud. I was just splattering it everywhere and creek crossings and all that good
I
stuff.
remember forever ago, like probably 20 plus years ago, riding North Shore, and getting stuck out there in the middle of a rainstorm, like 4 miles out when I still started at Rockledge, and getting to the point, this is still rim brakes. In fact, I had Magura hydraulic rim brakes with a brake booster on, and my bike got so bogged down with mud I could not even pedal. And I like it's one of those things in retrospect. I'm like, I was such a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Like I know I left major ruts on the trail.
Right.
But I was oblivious at that point.
Yep.
You know, I didn't know what all it took to correct all that stuff. But I mean, it was, my bike weighed so much I couldn't even push it hardly. I had to scrape mud off. It was a absolute catastrophe. So I learned my lesson, but still I just remember, like, that's what happens to some trails. You just physically cannot ride them when they get wet. So, especially that section. But anyways.
Just general chitter chatter, but Jeff from Canada checking in with us again.
Well, hello, Jeff from Canada. We determined he's Eastern Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the terminology? Atlantic seaboard or something like? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. He's up by Prince Edward Island in that area, I believe.
Yeah. And then another excellent episode. I like the way this one starts.
Were they listening to something else?
A nice blend of bikes and food. Looking forward to Spinistry Chow version 2024. Regarding the bear, you two know a lot more than me about directing, cinematography, and editing. Looking forward to learning more. Well,
that's obviously in regards to our most previous episode.
That is.
Yeah.
Well, assuming people that are listening to this episode have listened to the previous one. Are you looking at something?
No.
Oh, okay.
The most previous. The most
is
recent. That right? The most recent. I said the most previous. I know words. I just don't know how to use them.
Regarding cameo appearances, as painful as being belittled by your New York head chef must have been, it must have been even more painful to be belittled by the talk soup guy. Do you know what he's talking about there?
Really don't know.
See, I think this is Rich sending us this email. I think he's doing his passive aggressive David Letterman thing, saying, "Oh yeah, you guys think you know about cinematography and editing, but I know about the real cameos in here. I'm showing you up."
I really don't know what.
And also regarding awards, I hope you both agree with me that the award for best hair goes to Chef Lucas. Any idea what that means?
I'm lost.
You know what? I think we're going to have to do another bear episode featuring Rich Waltman. It really sounds like to me.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, Rich queued up the bear based on our suggestion, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
To see what he had to say.
It's hard not to fanboy out over that show, and it's hard to remove myself from the culinary world and still look at it irrespective of my experience in the culinary world. But it's just so good. It's so well done, regardless.
I hear you.
I feel like we're beating a dead horse at this point.
We are, and that dead horse will be beaten ever more on our other show that's coming out. And anybody that can tune into this one, how do I get the next episode that goes on the bear? We're still working out all the pieces, but we are creating a food-centric podcast, separate show. What's it called, Brad?
People Gotta Eat.
People Gotta Eat. We'll let y'all know when it's available. Putting the pieces together on that. But we have another bear episode already recorded, and we will finish that out, and we'll bring you back in. But let's get back to bikes and shiftless.
Let's do.
Final piece of listener mail. I wanted to say viewer mail. Listener mail from Russell. Subject: weekly rides and shiftless podcast. Hey guys, I've been listening to your podcast and enjoying it very much.
Thank you, Russell.
I just wanted to give a shout out to my weekly Tuesday night single track ride at Cypress Wood Trails in Houston.
Oh.
Hosted by Trek.
Oh. That's our boy Breg and Shannon are there. I think that's their Tuesday night I think they do like a throwdown ride.
Oh, is that their ride?
I think so.
Okay.
What was the trail again?
Cypress Wood Trails.
Maybe.
It says in Houston, and it's put together by Trek.
Yeah, that I don't know.
I understand. We have a large group, including kids, and there's pizza and beer provided afterwards.
Yes. That's the ride that Shannon and them have been doing.
We often have 50 to 100 people split into groups based on speed. I look forward to it every week. Also, maybe I'll see you guys at Single Speed Texas in Dallas this year, ?
Man, I want to
What is Single Speed Texas in Dallas? I saw like a placeholder months ago, but I haven't seen any more on it.
It's official. I can't remember the date. I want to say it's the same weekend that we're going to be in Big Bend. Not Big Bend, but
the Big Bend region.
Around
it is Big Bend,
yeah.
but it's not Big Bend National Park.
Right. The not Big Bend National Park trail. But I think it's that same weekend. Regardless, I remember cross-referencing my schedule, and I'm not available for it, which I'm pretty upset about.
So where is it being promoted? I haven't seen it anywhere. Or who's...
This particular person probably has you blocked. That's got a habit of blocking people on social media. But it's being hosted and put on by Black Cat.
Okay.
And I believe it's going to be very Dallas-centric. I think it's going to be at Big Cedar.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Like I said, I knew that I wasn't going to be available to go, so I haven't delved into it a lot, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty kick-ass event.
Well, very cool.
He's got a schedule of events, I think, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and one of them is actually, I think, a levee ride, like ramble kind of deal, either on Friday or Saturday. I can't remember. But breweries, a bunch of stuff involved. So
very nice.
It's going to be in true form to a single-speed, quote-unquote, race. There's going to be a big party atmosphere and a lot of camaraderie and I'm sure just a touch of shenanigans.
So that is our listener mail for this week. I thought you would get a kick out of hearing from somebody that took you up on your offer to share their regular rides. And if you've got them, let us know. And we'll be more than happy to forward your email that doesn't get read by Brad to him.
I'm sorry.
If you email us at
shiftlesslive@gmail.com.
Very good. Yeah. I'm so proud of you, Brad.
Man, it only took like 26 episodes.
I think this is 25.
Okay, whatever.
I think it's 25. Well, not exactly sure.
I can't count either.
Well, there is that.
What?
Real quick,
go for
before
it.
I forget, because I said last time we were going to do this. We're going to plug Big Pig Cancer Foundation every episode as well.
Yes.
Just a quick reminder, everybody. Big Pig Cancer Foundation does lots of good for helping out our friends in need, your friends in need.
Cyclists and cycling families. Yeah.
Very, very, very worthy cause. Make plans to attend the Ray Porter race next year.
Yep. 2024. We're talking about, there's rumors that it may not take place in August. The only problem is, and you're well aware of this, is if you don't do it in a off month, you have to contend with so many other events. If you try to cherry pick what ideally would be decent weather, you're going to be up against a lot.
You're always going to be, you're going to be up against other stuff. The biggest thing around here, quite frankly, and I do speak from experience here, betting Sean would agree with me, is basically outside of July and August around here, you're at best a 50-50 proposition of getting a mountain bike event off in North Texas.
Rain.
Rain.
Yeah.
Or even if it just rained a week ago and it's still wet or whatever else. So July and August, you have a higher likelihood of the trail being open, but you have scheduled whatever. We pushed it to December. Mm-hmm. Rained out, muddy trail, whatever. And we were going to do it in January, but basically from the middle of November till the end of January, Irwin was too muddy to ride.
Yeah.
So, that's a good example. From an organizer's standpoint, quite frankly, I would probably lean towards maintaining the August date myself, unless the venue itself changes and you have a higher likelihood of being able to handle less than ideal trail conditions.
Yeah, I don't know anything about venue change. I know we had.
Oh, I wasn't implying there would be. I'm saying.
Yeah. I know we had discussed maybe changing the time or the time of the year, and maybe even a little bit of the format too. But either way, I'm not at liberty to discuss all that right
and
now.
I'm not implying.
But it's still a kick-ass event.
Plan on
regardless.
attending Ray Porter next year. It's a fantastic fundraiser, and it's a good event, and more than likely, Chef Brad might have something to do with the edibles you eat that day.
Oh yeah, we throw down on food. That's one of the things that makes it so enjoyable. But and it's just a good environment. Everybody has a great time. There's as many, well, there's twice or three times as many spectators as there are racers, and it's quite the good time.
Very good.
But what else were we going to talk about?
Have you heard any more about? I haven't, but I'm seeing the Jay Peterberry situation.
He's out of the hospital. That's the last I saw. I did see a video that he posted on his socials where he went, and I don't know if he was collecting his bike or just it was getting handed over, but I saw the carnage that was his bicycle, and he is lucky to be in as good a shape as he is when you look at his bike. I mean, the rear triangle. Now, remember, we talked about this as an elongated bike.
Yes.
So the rear triangle is probably at a 20-degree angle from the front triangle. Both wheels are completely destroyed. I mean, rim broken, spokes everywhere, tires off, obviously.
Were they carbon?
Don't know.
Okay.
I want to say they were. I imagine they were.
I imagine they were.
But they're broken.
Right.
And then his handlebar, he was running a drop bar, I believe, and the drop was twisted up above the top of the flat portion of the bar. I mean, just the whole bike is just carnage. I mean, it's an absolute throw it away, you know. In the insurance business, I think they would call that a total loss.
Total loss.
But that being said, it's amazing to see his bike and see him be up and about and moving around and not like in a wheelchair. So,
along those lines, because you just gave me a quick reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not knowing Jay's situation, police involvement, if the other person's been found, or settlements, or general reference, and it is going to vary by state. But generally speaking, I know it's valid in Texas. As a cyclist, it is to your benefit to have uninsured motorist coverage on your vehicle coverage. That can come into play in a similar situation. Uninsured motorist can, and I'm not an insurance expert, I know somebody that is.
I know a guy that's an insurance expert.
We might have to bring him on board to clarify this for us.
Does it? And homeowners covers your bicycles as well, doesn't it? Or is that just against theft?
We need to have a specialist talk to us about this.
I bet old Wadley would sit down and have a chat with
There's
us.
a really good chance of it.
We need to do an evening podcast with him and maybe drink some whiskey. We need to have an evening whiskey podcast.
There will need to be Ubers involved with that.
That's fine. I'll sponsor the Ubers.
Also, breaking news. Listener mail. I've lost count of the number of times I've wanted to interject when listening to Shiftless. Keep up the great work, just now texted by our friend Josh Dean.
Oh.
I bet he's got lots of opinions on the shit we don't know.
Nah, he's not very opinionated.
I actually forced my wife to listen to our episode while we were driving around yesterday, and because it was my chance to do quality control.
Yeah.
And
what did she have to say? Is this the first time she's listened?
as far as I know, I don't believe she's listened.
She's not going to listen on her own.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so. I think she secretly was enjoying herself, though. And
Yeah.
and she's like, Brad's so sarcastic. It's like, you think?
Me? I don't think I'm constantly sarcastic. Andy.
No, just your zingers in there.
Oh.
Your zingers in there. They're not bad. They're not bad. Let me go back to so the J. Peterberry. So we still don't really know what's going on there.
I just know that he's out and about, and he has made a statement, something to the effect of he's gonna go back and try it again as soon as he gets better. But I mean, we wish him the best. Obviously, he's an icon in the endurance cycling world. I know he's not had the best track record, with other endurance people, but I don't know the ins and outs of that. He's never done anything wrong to me. So
it's I don't want to stray into that because cliquish doesn't. I don't think that's the right word. Camps isn't the right word, but there do seem to be general camps of attitude about those types of events, and some of the people kind of glom together over here, and others kind of glom together over. It's an interesting dynamic.
It's very akin to the argument over this statement, the spirit of gravel. There's different camps on that.
Yep.
And much like that, adventure racing has its own people that love to weigh in and say, well, that's not in the spirit of an adventure race, or that's not a bike packing race,
right.
or And so I think people get divided along those lines, and then they take very strong standpoints, and they create a hill that they want to die on, and whatever. Just ride your freaking bike.
Just ride your bike, and don't worry about how anyone else rides theirs. And I'll be honest with you, that's one that,
unless their seat's too low.
Well, there is that.
Anytime you see somebody with their seat too low, be sure and yell at them and tell them. They love it. That is the hardest thing for me to bite my tongue on, is you see someone on a wreck bike, oh yeah, and their high
knees at their chin,
and you're like, oh my gosh, raise your seat. I want to say it's so bad, but I there's no possible scenario where you can offer that advice in passing where it doesn't come across as condescending. But it's one of those things that irks me so bad. The only thing that takes precedent over that is when you see a Walmart-esque bike and the fork is on backwards. Or the handlebars. I've seen that too.
I've seen that as well.
But the low seat drives me insane. But anyways, proper bike fit.
Proper bike fit is important.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most underrated aspects, particularly for newer riders.
One of the best upgrades you can make is getting a proper bike fit. That's a strong argument. I know I've dealt with pain and issues over the years, and a lot of times it's, a quarter of an inch. I don't know how to go metric on this, but, a couple of millimeters of saddle adjustment, or maybe a simple cleat adjustment that I'm unaware or unable to see. I feel like I do a really good job of setting up my bikes to accommodate me, but it's always good to have someone else.
It's definitely good to have a third party look at it. And I got into this debate a few weeks ago with an old school rider. We'll leave it at that.
Rich?
No. Somebody else. Somebody I respect very much. Basically, he's getting back on the bike and hasn't been on in a while. And we were talking about
Now I've
bike.
got to know who it is.
I'll tell
Initials.
you. No.
No?
It might be somebody you don't know to begin with. So
Oh,
it comes
okay.
from the roadside.
Oh, one of those guys. I got into a debate about road riding the other night. Anyways, go ahead.
And maybe I'm in the wrong. And I want some, maybe you know better than I do on this particular topic.
Yeah.
The debate was, and this was the way that I understood things up until a few years ago, basically when they changed started changing geometry, modifying geometries of bikes.
Mm-hmm.
Classically, once you knew your reach and effective head tube,
Mm-hmm.
that was your fit for everything. You could transpose that pretty close.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way anymore with modern geometries and adjustments to bikes and so forth, is my understanding. Is where it used to be I could lean on my 24 3/4 effective top tube and that would work for everything I sat on. It doesn't work that way anymore. And this gentleman was trying to say, well, yeah, I can order a mail order bike because I've got the geometries and the specs right here and I know what my numbers are. Everything I've been told the last few years is what we used to understand as the right top tube length is not necessarily the right. It's more about the actual reach now than the effective top tube.
Yeah, I mean, and all those numbers are changing, especially on the mountain bike world. I don't know so much about road riding.
But it applies to gravel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, on the
Geometry's
roads.
definitely changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Road, I mean, gravel's getting closer to mountain bikes every day as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Speaking of, did you see, I think it was at the Portland Handmade Bike Show. I think it's
The Made
called
Show.
The Made Show. They debuted the 750D.
I did see that.
What are we doing, bike industry? What are we doing?
We're getting attention.
We're
going viral.
It
It was Moots and who was the wheelman?
I can't remember. I don't even want to give him a shout out, even if I could remember. It seems like a ploy to just create more niche bike sales.
I think it was a ploy.
Yeah.
And Moots, you're welcome to correct me if I'm wrong and send me a trial bike.
I get it in concept. And Caleb was actually the one that broke it down for me, and this makes sense. The overall concept is to get a similar circumference to a 29er
tread pattern.
Borderline plus.
Yeah.
Like a 2.6, 2.8-ish.
Yeah.
Get that same circumference.
Yes.
But in a narrower, call it a 45, 50-ish
Right.
tire, 48.
So you still have the same rollover as a plus
Right.
bike,
Right.
but not with the weight.
And I
basically.
like I said, I get that in concept, but still, I think I'm really old school in the fact that I'm sick of new introduction of standards. Just when we have a UDH and we've
Get off my lawn, Brad.
I know. I try not to be a curmudgeon.
Oh, your dogs are upset that I'm yelling at you.
Yeah. But I mean, we're finally getting back to threaded bottom brackets instead of all this press fit bullshit. And we're kind of settling on a standard headset. Why go and muddy the waters with yet another wheel size? Anyways, I'm going to be a resistor for as long as possible.
Well, and I say you should.
Yeah.
Because I was a resistor on the 29er front for a very long time.
I was not.
And quite frankly, I consider myself proven right, generally speaking, because the main reason I was resistant was because everything I had was 26-inch already.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, if I switch over, I'm going to have to buy 5 new bikes, sort of thing.
Precisely why I didn't embrace the 27.5.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So, but what kept me away at first, and I think this would definitely come into play with this 750 setup, was at first there wasn't a decent 29er wheel. Everybody was tacoing wheels left and right for those first couple of years.
It wasn't just wheels; it was tires as well.
Well, there was no tire available, but we had that issue with gravel on the front end too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it took 5 years realistically before they had a dependable wheel set on the 29er front.
And I-9, I believe, was like one of the forefathers on making badass
Well, let's talk
29er wheels.
I will espouse the virtues of I-9 every single day of the week. We are not sponsored by I-9, but oh, by God, I would love to be.
I've been a fan of I-9 since basically their inception.
Since day one.
Yeah.
Since day one.
But find me somebody that's not an industry guy that despises I-9.
Right.
Other than from a pricing standpoint.
They're not really out of line anymore.
Yeah. I mean, to the fact that my new single speed has the entry level, I think they're entry level I9 hubs. It's one equals one, or I don't know what they're called. I can't remember. Still love them. The Torch hub, the Hydra hub. I mean, they're just doing good stuff. And you know, one of the big gripes when they first came out is they were doing their proprietary straight pull spokes, and they were cost prohibitive. I think those spokes, even back in what was that, like early 2000s, they were like $6 a piece, you know, which was very spendy. But now they
were so pretty.
Oh, so gorgeous. And I beat the living hell out of multiple sets of I9s.
Yeah.
And they still just rock and rolled. I mean, and even to the point of breaking one or two spokes, and the wheel wouldn't even go out of round. And that's when I was running rim brakes. So, always been a good product in my mind.
Yeah, so the conversion on the 29er, had to wait till decent wheels were around. That started to get me. But they still, I test rode Truman's and a few other bikes out
R.I.P.
there.
Truman.
Yeah, I miss that guy.
Oh my gosh.
Every day. I really do. But anyway, it was like I see where it is, but it didn't feel quite right to me. And then it was around 2010, 2011, the industry figured out, we need to tweak the geometry a little bit. And when they made that geometry tweak and they had the wheels that stood up, it's like, I test rode the
Niner got it right pretty quick, though.
I don't know that I ever had a chance to ride a Niner because everybody's Niners were breaking. So
guilty. I can't.
And we're definitely not sponsored by Niner.
No, I literally lost count of how many Sir 9s I broke. In fact, to the point, the last one I got warrantied, I literally sent them an email and said, at this point, why don't you guys just send me a jersey?
Let's put a caveat on this.
Yeah.
Let's put a quick cap. The Niner bikes of 2009, 2010 are not the Niner bikes of today. This is a totally different company.
No, well, the whole company's been sold and everything anyways. Dumaheady is not there anymore, and that I'm aware of. I think they stepped out and started their own brand, but I don't even know where that is at this point. But either way, Niner got the geometry right very early in the game.
Well, maybe that's where Yeti stole it from, because I got to test ride the prototype Big Top, and I fell in love immediately. It was like my bike right there. It's like I ordered. It's like
Let's
first
be
one.
fair, you're a Yeti fanboy since day one.
No,
anyways.
No, I wasn't.
That was your first foray into Yeti?
I had a 575, which I actually
you tried to make it work for a long time.
I did.
Yeah.
I did, and
because it was a Yeti.
No, that was my first real bike. That outside of that Strong I got off of Ben and built up with my i9s, which I built that one up as a single speed. So that was my first real full suspension bike.
Yeah.
And my issues with it were that I'm a hardtail guy. It's basically what it boils down to.
I would contend that you've never had a decent full suspension that was set up properly for you.
I would agree with that. That 575 was close. Ultimately, what it boiled down to was it was undersized for me. It was a medium. I'm always been in that medium large.
And the geometry was still squirrely back then too.
And the geometry was a little squirrely on it, but stretch it out just a touch, and it's better for Kevin.
Yeah.
But technically, for most riders that like to flick around and full suspension stuff, the medium was probably the right fit.
Yeah. I tend to run what the industry would consider an undersized bike.
Understood.
Like, I fall in that line of large, extra large. Like, if you just went by paperwork, I should be on an extra large. But if I grab an off-the-shelf bike, it's going to be a large.
I get it.
Coming from a BMX background, not that I raced BMX, but I grew up on a BMX bike. I've always been on a bicycle. BMXs historically are too small for you anyways when you're 6'3". So I always enjoyed a bike that I could flick around, you know. But still, on a large 29er, the first time I rode a 29er was the first time I felt like I wasn't on top of the bike. I felt like I was in the bike. You know,
and that's
like,
and that's what that big top. Like I said, I'd ridden several 29ers prior to it, but that was the first one that. And actually, I had gotten my 575 dialed in at that point, actually, and I was pretty comfortable on it. And then I rode that big top. And it was like, this rides like my 575 without the tail slop. And it's like, this is what I need. This is me, sort of thing.
I'm a hardtail fan.
Yeah,
period.
no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Unless we're gonna go to the mountains, to real mountains, and we're gonna do like long extended climbs and long descents. Then I'm a big fan of that pie plate in the back, and give me squish and, you know, give me a dropper post. But for North Texas trails, I think it's a lot.
And I can say this, dropper post would have been a game changer on that 575.
Yeah, that was pre-dropper post.
That was pre-dropper post, and that probably was my missing piece on that bike.
Yeah, that being said, I still don't run a dropper post except for on my big squishy bike.
Well, yeah, it was when I went down the ski slope at Red River, New Mexico. It's like, I wish my tail would go.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've still yet to get acclimated to a dropper post, but I don't spend enough time on my big hit bike because there's kind of nowhere to ride it around here except for Spider Mountain, which I still haven't been to. But
I'm just an old. It doesn't appeal to me.
So, what does your current stable look like? How many bikes does Kevin Lee admit to having?
Top of the list is my El Jefe.
I still have yet to see that.
I considered bringing it out today, but we'll save that for another.
That's fair.
Another one. I have my Roll Bicycles adventure bike, my A1 adventure bike.
Rolls. What is that?
It is a low buck mail order brand.
Okay.
That a little over a year ago, I thought I'd try them out for people that were looking for that beginner bike, sub $1,000 gravel bike, decent component. This one's a flat bar setup, more of an alt bar setup, not a true flat bar. I actually really like this bike. So I have that. I have my Warbird. I have my
Salsa is killing it, by the way. Killing it, in my opinion. The Warbird, the Cutthroat, the Fargo.
My Warbird's it's a 17 Warbird. Yeah, 17 Warbird.
Yeah.
So they've had another generation come out since then.
If not two. But not only their paint jobs, too. Their paint jobs for like, just production bikes. Sick. Big fan.
What else do I have? I have my my Stella, my Jumbo Stella. It's just a frame and fork at the moment. That's going to be my single speed project.
We need to make that happen.
Oh, well, no rush.
That's fair.
I want to do it right.
But we're about to experience cooler weathers, you know, and cooler weather. And, you know, next week, with it being a potential rain week, it would be good time to do a little, you know, wrenching.
Yeah. I have my Loft True Grit set up single speed. Ridden that a few times this summer.
Interesting.
Oh, it's amazing.
Huh.
What
gear are you running on there?
4220 at the moment.
Wow.
Well, I asked for an 18. They set it up with the 20.
Huh. But road, you typically, road and gravel, I can almost lump in the same. You typically run like a 3-to-1, don't you? Almost?
I mean, all my adventure single speeds that I've set up were 4218, and that was my gear. Okay.
That's fair.
So I still have my Piece 9er set up 4218 single speed.
I'm sorry, I lost count. The El Jefe, the generic
the
bike,
roll bike,
the roll bike,
the Warbird,
the Loft,
the Loft,
the Chumba.
the Chumba. It's just a frame set right now. It's not rolling.
Do you have a set of wheels that could go on it?
Not at the moment. No.
Not at the moment. Okay, we'll call that a half.
Okay.
Okay.
My GT Piece Niner drop bar single speed.
That's a full bike.
That's a full bike.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm missing something. Maybe not.
You don't have a grocery getter? You don't have a basket bike?
All of them are basket bikes because I've got a great set of bags that can go anywhere.
Panniers, yeah.
And
That's one of those words I never feel confident saying.
I always say panniers.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think it's right.
Maybe our buddy from Canada can correct us.
Or Josh Dean.
Oh yeah. tell us what we're doing wrong, Josh. He posted a picture. I have to tell you this. He posted a picture the other day on one of his rides in Bentonville, and it's a classic cycling picture. For the record, we're at 5.5 bikes, and it's got his coffee sitting there and maybe a croissant or some kind of breakfast pastry. Beautiful day in Bentonville, whatever. And in the background, there's a place called the Flying Fish, and I sent him a message and I go, well, tell me about Flying Fish. What is that? He goes, if you ever come to Bentonville, you would know. And so I just kind of said, well, screw that. I'll look it up. So I looked it up and I looked at their menu and they have poor boy loafs. That's what they call their po' boy sandwiches. And I was like, I messaged him back and I go, I'm out. Anybody that calls it a poor boy loaf obviously doesn't know what they're doing. That's me being snotty.
No, I get it. But what is a poor boy loaf supposed to mean?
It's a po' boy.
It's a po' boy sandwich.
Yeah.
But why call it loaf instead of sandwich?
I have no clue because they obviously don't know what they're doing. That's the kind of stuff that I read a menu and I immediately make a judgment.
It's like, boom, I'm out.
Yeah, you've already lost your credibility. But anyways, and he goes, there's just nothing that would excite you here food-wise. And I was like, not true. When we finished Arkansas High Country, we stayed with Jeremy Ordaz, and he met us in, I think, downtown Bella Vista and rode us back to his house and I don't know the name of the place, but there's a Chicago pizzeria there that makes authentic deep dish Chicago pizza. Some of the best shit I've ever had in my life. So I was like, no, not true. That Chicago pizza was banging. So anyways, 5.5 bikes.
Oh, well, I guess we have to throw in my Stages SB20 smart bike as well.
That can't even travel outside of the house though, right?
Nope.
I mean, if someone had a Peloton, would you consider that a bike? Would that classify into the N+1?
Yes.
It would?
Personally,
I'll fold that in with the Chumba as a half bike and half bike. So now we're at 6.
Well, I'll take that.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay.
But specifically from the N+1 approach, I am a firm believer that it doesn't apply to everybody, but I firmly believe that most people should have a smart trainer or a smart bike, particularly if they're weather picky about their riding, just so they can always be riding.
Keep the pedals turning.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference. I'm guilty of it right now myself, where I've been off the bike way too long. We could spend a whole episode going into my psychoses on that, but
well, let's not do that.
We're not going to. So that's one.
We're at 6.
So we're counting that. We have to count technically Jan's Chumba Trilingua, but I'm the one that rides it more.
But that's not your bike. That's Jan's bike.
Okay.
I don't want to get in trouble with Jan.
You already are.
I'm scared of. How?
It's everybody's in trouble with her.
I feel like overall she accepts me.
She accepts.
Yeah. Okay.
She accepts.
That's about all I can hope for.
Trust me, she judges.
She showed me the knife. Have you ever seen Old School when he says, "She showed me the knife"?
No, but I was thinking about the bear and Richie getting stabbed in the ass because Jan about pulled that one on me the other day, and she actually referenced that one. I'm going to stab you in the ass. It's like, oh, you were watching.
So you're at 6 bikes.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm forgetting one, but I'll have to go. It's probably one that's just collecting dust in the garage, sort of thing. I think I I can't remember what it would be off the top of my head.
So I ran you down that rabbit hole to say, what is your N+1? Because as a cyclist that has two bikes, you're always.
I mean, right now my
something.
my N+1 is building up the Chumba. That is my N+1
That's
right
fair.
now.
Get you a single speed.
Well, I've got single speeds, but I don't have a flat bar mountain bike single speed.
Right. Well, I mean, when I say single speed, I mean a mountain bike single speed.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So. So you said it's a frame and fork. What fork is on there?
Fox 34.
Fox 34. Step cast.
Maybe. I don't know.
But does it have stem, bars,
No.
brakes?
No.
So it's
All
literally
that.
just a frame
Everything
and
got
fork.
pulled off the Chumba and put on the El Jefe.
Okay. So no headset even?
There's a headset.
Bottom bracket?
No bottom bracket, I
No
don't
bottom
believe.
bracket. Okay. Brakes?
No.
No brakes? Okay. So it literally is
It's
just
a
a frame and
it's a
fork.
frame and fork and
That's
headset.
fair. That's fair. All right.
And so I
Long way to go and short time to get there.
no, I'm not in a hurry.
That's fair.
I will be in proper single speed shape over the winter
Okay.
is the plan. So in good spring weather is when I hope to join the circle on Tuesday nights again.
Speaking of which camp are you in the anticipation of our winter?
As far as
What are your amateur meteorologist thoughts about what our winter's going to be?
we're gonna have a cold one.
Cold and wet?
Let's take that back. We're gonna have a wet one with lots of cold in it.
Okay. All right.
We're gonna have a dreary winter, is what I'm expecting at this point.
Okay. I got a new base layer. I think I'm okay. Do you have winter shoes, by the way?
I do.
You do? That's one of my next
I have
investments.
the lake boots, and I love them. Actually, I probably need to get some new ones.
I've never worn a pair of Lakes, but everybody I've ever met that wears Lakes loves them. But you have a wide foot.
I have the wide foot,
Yeah.
so
I have a narrow
every
foot.
time I find a shoe that works well, I say okay, but now I'm riding flats. So,
Yeah.
so actually, I can change this game up. I hadn't
Sure.
thought about that. Every time I found a shoe I liked for my weird wide foot, it got discontinued. First, it was the CD Megas that they did 10, 12 years ago.
CD still makes wide shoes, though.
They do, but they changed.
Super spendy, though.
They changed their fit and they changed their materials and everything.
Yeah.
So what were the CD Megas or whatever they
But
called?
Italians have weird feet, too.
Okay.
You know?
Anyway, CD stopped.
Yeah.
So then the Giro. That's another one I've done.
Giro.
Is it Giro?
Yeah. Like the Giro d'Italia.
They had their privateers in the Megas or their whatever they call it.
Great shoe, by the way. Great rambling shoe.
Discontinued.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was my favorite shoe by
Yeah.
far. It was a good price point. It was the right wide fit for my funky foot. Super durable.
Yeah.
Very walkable.
Yeah, that was the problem I had. That's why I got away from CDs, is because the soles. I was running a high-end shoe, anyways.
Yeah.
But they had the Dragon SRS, the sole replacement system, but even the sole replacement was like pushing $100 or something.
Yeah.
But speaking of, I was talking about how much instructions do you need for a water bottle. I had, when I was finishing Kanza, it was called Kanza then, my shoe started to come unlaminated. The sole was a carbon sole, and I was running SPDs. My cleat started pulling through the sole. And so I contacted CD, and I was like, this has got to be a warranty issue. And so through emails, the guy says, well, did you read the manual? I was like, why the fuck would I read a manual for a pair of shoes? He's like, well, there's a metal spacer that goes in between your cleat and the shoe itself to keep your pedal from contacting that carbon. I didn't know that.
All right.
To keep that from wearing down, because all the click ins and click outs damage that carbon, and that becomes the what happens. And so, anyways, they ended up giving me a discount sole replacement or something like that. But it took me very aback. I was like, why would I read a manual for a pair of shoes?
So
Not-
we're not fishing for sponsorship from CD. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't even ride CDs anymore.
I'm on board.
Just- shoes are very personal, anyways. I mean,
Extremely.
I'm a Pearl Izumi guy at these days. I really like what they've been doing with their Alp X series, especially because I'm not a racer boy anymore. But Pearl still makes definitely racer level shoes, but Pearls just fit my feet straight out of the box. They feel like they should.
Shoes and helmets. I'm never going to debate anybody that says, "Oh, this is the helmet I like."
Right.
Because
I have a weird shaped head, just
Yep.
like I have a weird shaped foot. I have a little peanut head, and it's
it's
longer.
I'm glad you finished that off there.
Yeah. Helmets don't ever fit me right. Although I did try on a POC not too long ago, and I think that's going to be my next helmet purchase. Other than the fact that it makes me look like a mushroom, because they're a little larger. But
Yeah, and POC's one of those that doesn't fit me. It's almost, but it's off just enough that
you have a large head, correct? Like what size fitted hat do you wear?
7.5.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Maybe, I don't know.
What size is yours?
Like a 6 7/8.
Oh, okay.
7, maybe a 7 on a good day.
Understood.
On a full head of hair day.
Yeah, I think I'm a 7.5.
Yeah,
And-
sounds about right.
So, but I don't know. I don't know how that's relative to anyone else.
Helmet size.
I mean, I always do large.
Yeah. But it's
Never an XL though.
It's more a shape too.
Yes. Yes. I have the round head, not the egg-shaped
I
head.
have an egg-shaped head, narrow and long. But
Pointy head type, huh?
so besides the Chumba, what else is on your N+1?
Oh man.
What bikes are out there that
Actually,
you've been
I do
ogling?
know what I want. Mm-hmm. I know exactly what I want, and I want these guys to sponsor me.
750D?
No.
No.
Man, I'm going to. So I'm in love with that Revel El Jefe,
Mm-hmm.
and I apologize, I can't remember the name of the model, but their titanium gravel bike. I want that badly.
Oh, they make the one I've been looking at. The titanium gravel is the Sendero.
No, Senderos. That's a Chumba model.
No, Terlingua. That's their gravel model, right?
No, Sendero's a mountain bike.
No, the Terlingua.
Oh, Terlingua. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
You lost me there. I thought I didn't hear the Chumba part from you. You started giving Chumba brand
I
or
was.
Chumba models, but I didn't realize you were. I thought we were still talking Revel. Whatever the Revel titanium,
I'm looking it up
Please
right now
do.
because I'm trying to think of what it
because
is too.
it's also got a UDH set.
Is it the Rover or
It
the
is.
R Plus?
Oh no, it's the R Plus. The
Yeah.
R Plus.
I'm looking it up. God, is this sexy? No UDH though.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is the Rover.
I think the R Plus is the only one that comes in titanium though. I could be wrong. Very
No,
wrong.
are you sure it's no UDH?
It doesn't appear that way.
No,
Not in
it's
the picture.
No, it's UDH. I mean,
Yeah, their Rover is carbon.
that's the carbon. Okay, so yeah, whatever the titanium one is.
Oh, but it comes in mint. I love that.
I'm a big fan of all that Revel stuff, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah.
So basically, I want one of everything of theirs at the moment.
Man, they make some sexy bikes. And Chris Reichel, who I've been a fan of, like super fanboy of all his adventures and keeping track of his social media and just living vicariously through some of the shit that he goes and does. He's a part of Revel, and I believe he's like one of the starters at Revel, has been on since day one. He came and did a demo at Boulder. Went over and it ended up being rainy, so we didn't actually get to ride the bikes that much. But then went and had some bites with him at El Tizoncito over by OCNP. Super cool guy. I'd love to talk to him about
Okay.
Revel and his thoughts on UDH. He's a big single speed guy as well. I can't remember what he was riding. Must have been an El Jefe. But
If it was Thai, probably.
yeah.
Well, and they're
Anyways.
still doing the plus bikes too.
Mhm.
So no, I like the Revel stuff. The El Jefe rides fantastically on the gravel. I have yet to take it on single track.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to. Oh, that's my next. It's not N+1 per se, but along the lines of everybody should have the Smart Bike or Smart Trainer. I also believe everybody should have a bike that they swap wheel sets on and multi-purpose the bike, which is what I want to do with the El Jefe. I want to go with the fat mountain bike tires for single track because it's a rigid fork.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do want to get a set of gravel wheels for that. I would like to try out the Revel, their composite wheels. Those look kind of cool too.
Yeah, and they have. I think they're the first in the industry to offer a recycling program.
The recycled wheels. Yeah.
Which there's not enough people in the cycling industry that are in that.
You know what?
It seems like
we should go to
is a
Colorado
super
and interview the Revel people in person. Is what we should do.
I'm so in. We should have done it in July.
we should be there right now.
Yeah. But I think that in the cycling industry, it seems like everything, unless I'm overlooking some major component or something, but everything seems to be borderline disposable. You know, we've gotten away from rebuildable, reusable stuff. You know, like I grew up cutting my teeth in bike shops where, you know, it was all loose ball bearings and, you know, you might replace a race on a bottom bracket or maybe you replace the bearings, but you would take it apart and rebuild it and put it back together. Nowadays, your bottom bracket goes bad, you just change it. Headsets, same thing.
Everything's disposable.
You know, I mean, pedals, I rebuild my pedals all the time, so I guess pedals are probably one. But, I mean, your saddle goes bad, you just get rid of it and get a new one. You know, it's wheels, same way, hubs, same way. You know, it seems so. It's nice to see a company as relatively small as Revel kind of flying that flag of recyclable, especially when it comes to something like rims. I mean, we've all known people that have destroyed carbon rims.
Yeah.
And instead of throwing them in the trash, they recycle them, I believe, for free, which I think is kick-ass. And they offer a lifetime on their wheels, which a lot of companies are starting to do on their high-end carbon wheels. Niner, Santa Cruz, there's somebody, Envy.
You kind of have to at this point.
Yeah, or you go... I'm
but
next
you got to admit it's really easy to offer a lifetime warranty when the standards change every 2 years. So
that's kind of true.
All right,
750D.
What are we? We're an hour 38 in.
Okay, you can put a time on fun, but whatever.
I understand. I got 200 miles of scouting to do.
Okay,
so we'll wrap it up.
All right,
if that's okay with you.
I'm fine with that. I feel like we hit our requisite 80% bike talk.
At least 75.
Yeah, I'll go with that.